Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you. I'm Rob Evans, and welcome to Daybreak Plus. We're breaking down all the news you may have missed overnight, and then we're digging deep into the matters that matter to you. And this morning, we're getting right to the severe weather outbreak from yesterday that spawned at least one tornado in Burnett County. Take a look at these pictures. Thanks to Kate Munsell for sharing these pictures. A massive funnel cloud near Killeen and Briggs yesterday, something you just don't see a whole lot of. The National Weather Service confirmed a tornado on the ground in northeast Burnett County. That's where KVUE's Isabella Basco spent the night. Shows us how the affected area was hit.
The best way that Burnett County Emergency Management describes this tornado is erratic. Northeast Burnett County Fire Rescue telling me all the tree damage is on County Road 223. As you can see, drivers had difficulty navigating those roads due to all the fallen trees. One driver was injured during the storm. So far, we're told one home and one structure have been destroyed and another home has minor damage. The tornado touched down just before 4:30 this afternoon, and we talked to one Florence resident who watched the tornado and also drove around to help affected residents.
Seeing it that close to home, yes, it was a little crazy to see that, but other than that, it was an eye-opener.
First responders and road crews are clearing debris from roadways tonight in the area of County Road 223. Now, officials do worry that the dark and continued storms will make it difficult for them to do their assessments, so stay safe out there tonight. They plan on sending more updates once they clear all the damage. Reporting in Briggs, Isabella Basco for KVUE News.
Now, if you experienced any damage from the storm, you're encouraged to report it to Burnett County officials. We have more information for you right now on KVUE.com. And take a look at this time lapse of yesterday's storm clouds building over Williamson County. This is from the backyard of one of our photographers, a beautiful time lapse, beautiful but dangerous, obviously, to see the storms kind of just build up there. And looking live now, right now at the Capitol, the sky's a little bit more clear, and a bill that would ban THC products in Texas is inching closer to becoming law. The House committee approved a version of Senate Bill 3. Now, initially, the bill proposed an all-out ban on products with THC, but the new version proposes age limits and potency caps. So, since 2019, products with 0.3% THC or less have been legal in Texas. The House version allows Delta-9 THC within that range, limits hemp drinks to 10 milligrams, and bans inhaling products and lab-created chemical compounds that mimic the effects of cannabis. Now, even the hemp industry agrees there's a need to crack down on bad actors. The dispute is over how to do it. The House version of the bill requires customers to be at least 21 years old to buy a product. It would tighten testing, labeling, and packaging requirements. It would also ban marketing to minors and prohibit things like gummies. The House version of the bill would give counties the ability to vote to be dry counties for consumable hemp. The proposed legislation would bar sales within 1,000 feet of a school, of a church, of a playground or daycare center. It's unclear if Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick will support the changes when it passed the Senate, though. He called the version with an outright ban one of the most important bills of his time in the Senate. He has even threatened to force a special session if it comes to that. Well, the Texas Senate passed a bill aimed at getting more doctors and nurses in rural counties. The bill, part of an effort by state lawmakers to address the significant rural health care shortage the state's facing. More than 60% of rural areas in Texas faced a health care shortage, more than half of them. Senate Bill 2695 expands financial incentives for doctors in rural areas to make those jobs more attractive. It creates the Rural Admission Medical Program, or RAMP, offering financial support and guaranteed med school spots for students from counties under 25,000 people. It also creates a pathway for experienced rural nurses to transition into physician roles. Here's State Senator Lois Kolkhorst.
If you grow up in a rural community, you will migrate back there many times to give back to those rural communities. And so that is what RAMP is going to do. This is about growing our own rural providers, young Texans who understand their communities and want to return and to serve them.
SB 2695 now heads to the House for consideration. Today, the lower chamber gave initial approval to HJR 203. That's a proposed amendment that would establish the Texas Healthcare Workforce Education Fund, supporting higher education institutions and addressing the state's, again, healthcare workforce shortages. Now, if it does pass, it'll be on the ballot in November. 7:06 right now. Let's get a look at weather and traffic. George, what are we looking at?
Well, Rob, we are going to start with a track of that tornado as seen by our radar. And there you see that tornado storm, that confirmed tornado passed just to the west of Ocala, and it happened right before 4:30. It briefly lifted and then nearly touched down again. It triggered two separate tornado warnings, one of which had a considerable damage tag on it. And if you watch KVUE Daybreak, you saw some of that damage where KC Sherman was at in northeastern Burnett County. But it had a separate cell pass just to the south of there near the Mahomet area. And what that did is that it acted as a barrier between that particular tornadic storm, and that warmer air. So what happened is that storm was eventually able to weaken as a result. As we take a look outside, this is our Lake Travis weather camera overlooking the Sometimes Islands. We're looking mostly cloudy here. And we really need the skies to stay this way area-wide because that will limit the instability and that will limit the chance for some of those stronger storms. Right now, we're looking at temperatures in the lower 60s, and we are looking cloudy for the most part. There are some areas that are clear, including LaGrange, and that's not good. You do not want the sun out because with the daytime heating, you'll get a lot more of that instability in the atmosphere, and that could trigger a lot of those stronger storms. Let's take a look at our satellite and radar, though. We are looking mostly clear for the most part, but later on this afternoon, we have a 3 out of 5 enhanced risk for severe weather for the entirety of the KVUE viewing area. Now, northwestern Mason County, you're under that 2 out of 5 slight risk, but still you should treat it as if you are under that enhanced risk. The main threat is going to be hail. And look at this, a 30% chance of hail within a given storm across the entirety of the KVUE viewing area. And if you see these striped lines, that's the hatched area. That is the significant hail parameter. That means 2 inches diameter hail or larger are possible within any given storm. That would be golf ball size hail. We could even have baseball size hail with any storm. And oh yes, like what some areas, according to our radar estimate, was near Lake Buchanan, there were some reports of grapefruit size hail from our radar estimation as well. So that's very large hail, and that could cause some serious damage to your car. Another threat is localized flooding, and we have a 2 out of 4 risk for excessive rainfall that could lead to flash flooding. So to sum everything up, hail is going to be my main threat. I have that as well as localized flooding being in the medium. But we also have damaging winds according to some storms that are possible. If we get like a gust front, like straight lines with those storms, then this could become a bit of a threat as well. And aside from Burnett County, we cannot, and I stress this enough, we cannot rule out a brief spin up tornado given what happened in Burnett County yesterday. I just want to reiterate, we're not here to scare you. We're just here to make sure that you are prepared and safe for anything that comes our way. So 3 p.m. to midnight today, that is our weather impact alert period. The impacts are all modes of severe weather, especially large hail, especially localized flooding, but damaging winds and an isolated tornado are not ruled out by any stretch of the imagination. So make sure that you have a way to receive warnings. Have multiple ways, as a matter of fact, whether it be your NOAA radio, especially the KVUE app. It'll ping you if you have a severe storm headed your way. And be sure to protect your cars, especially if you have a garage or carport. Pull your cars into there. And 3 p.m. to midnight, and Hannah's going to talk more about this as well, is that's during the afternoon rush hour. So something you're going to want to pay attention to if a storm is coming into your area by the time we get to that portion of the day. And this is at around noon. We could have a few light showers hanging around, and if we do, that could limit the instability somewhat, and that would be good news there. The main line of storms looks like it's going to be coming between 3 and maybe 4 o'clock, and that's what this model is showing. Portions of Travis County, down toward Hays County, along I-35 according to this model, but anyone in the KVUE viewing area is fair game for severe weather. So please, please, please take every model run that we show you seriously, because it could happen to anyone in the KV viewing area. And again, I'm not here to scare you. I'm just here to make sure you guys are prepared for anything that may come your way. Now, Saturday morning, everything should be cleared out of here. And actually, for my money, I'm thinking around 9 to 10 o'clock for everything to kind of wrap up from a severe standpoint. Could have a few lingering showers overnight, though. Looking at around 2 inches, maybe even 3 or 4 inches, according to this particular rainfall model. This is the in-house graph model, and we could have a lot of that heaviest rainfall be in the coastal plains, maybe some sections of the hill country as well. It would be great news if the hill country got good bits of rain, because that would be great news for our Highland Lakes system. Your allergy count does have ash, as well as grass, mulberry, and hickory, all in the low counts. Mold is in the medium, and you can find this each and every day on KVUE.com and the KVUE app. We do dry out for the weekend, low 80s Saturday and Sunday, so slightly below average, before storm chances ramp up once again for the middle and latter portions of next week. And again, looks like really good rain totals are possible with that. That is still 4 to 7 days out, so still some more details have to be handled with that, but we've got to get through today's weather impact alert day first. And with that, here is Hannah Rucker.
Thank you so very much, Jordan. Your time now is 7:12. And, you know, springtime in Texas, these storms can be really tough. And I know last night the commute in northeast Burnett County was really tricky. And we're keeping our eyes on the storm potential this evening because, I mean, think about it. Everyone's heading home from work. They're heading out for the weekend. This is such a fun city. We always have so much going on. But with that is the concern of people that could get really wrapped up in some of these storms tonight. So let's take a look here. We got a couple new things popping up. So we have this incident here at Spicewood Springs, which is south of Anderson Mill. And then it looks like we also have a new crash that is popping up not too far from Lakeline Mall. On top of that, we've got some other activity out in far east Austin. We also have a stalled vehicle out near San Marcos as well. So let's go ahead and take a look across the map right now. So here's a stalled vehicle heading northbound at River Ridge. This is on I-35. Good morning to my Texas State Bobcats. Great day out in San Marcos for you. And that is just blocking that right-hand shoulder. So not of major concern right now with the car trouble there. And then, of course, you know, from overnight out in Ocala area here off of County Road 223, there's still some debris being reported out there as Casey Sherman's been showing us those live pictures. And goodness gracious, I mean, that's why it's so important to take these warnings so seriously, because all kinds of things can spin out from these storms. Travel on 183 looking pretty good if you are traveling through Briggs right now at this time. But really, once again, it's just going to be that debris that we are going to be honing in on. And I did want to get this crash here that looks like it just popped up on 183, not too far from that other crash. And this is just right outside of Lakeline Mall, so right on the cusp of Cedar Park there. And this is on Lake Creek Parkway on Research. So not a full closure or anything like that, but just kind of keeping my eye on that for you. And then let's take a look over here in far east Austin, what we have cooking over here, not too far. That little trouble spot, there's always something at Walter E. Long Park. So this is a new crash that popped up, and this is at FM 973 at Decker Lake Road. That is just right off of the 130 toll road. And then heading up here, last but not least, not too far from that kind of that cusp of Pflugerville and New Sweden, we've got an incident on Cameron Road, causing some slowdowns for us there. But of course, all eyes in the forecast tonight. Once again, 3 p.m. to midnight. It could get tricky out there with potential flooding, hail, kind of just not a great cocktail of things that is the potential for this evening. So stay safe out there, Rob, and of course, keep it tuned here to KVUE.
All right, thank you very much, Hannah. Tomorrow is Election Day in Texas, and voters in the city of Bastrop will pick the next person they want to see as mayor. Back in January, former Mayor Lyle Nelson stepped down, and now voters will see Willie De La Rosa, Ward Northcutt, and Ismail Harris on the ballot. All three say they believe they have what it takes to be mayor. Take a listen.
Nobody loves the city like I do.
Well, I want to be your personal mayor, Bastrop.
I want to be able to see that the right things are put in place.
Again, tomorrow, voters get to head to the polls to choose who will lead City Hall. Polls open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And allergy sufferers know all too well how miserable this time of year can be. Look at that. Oh, those videos of just the pollen just coming off the trees. Oof. Especially bad here in Central Texas, right? But for a lot of people, it's like it's worse. What's going on? And why is it earlier and why is it worse? ABC's chief correspondent, climate correspondent, Ginger Z shares what has changed.
For many, spring is an exhilarating time of year when trees come back to life and flowers bloom. But for others, like me, it's a return of their dreaded allergies. And some allergy sufferers are finding that their symptoms are getting worse every year, while also having to endure them for longer. Dr. Neela Matamala, an ear, nose, and throat physician at NYU Langone Health, says that climate change is partly to blame.
One of the main greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, which is really driving climate change, that increases the amount of plant and tree growth, which allows the trees to produce more pollen. So on average, there's about 20% more pollen in the atmosphere now as compared to 50 years ago.
Dr. Tamala says warmer global temperatures can shorten the freeze season, allowing trees to begin growing much earlier. In addition to pollen, the growth of allergens like mold are also impacted by climate change.
We're seeing a lot more extreme weather events, and this includes hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding events. All of these water-fueled events increase the risk of mold growth.
To manage symptoms, consult your physician about whether you might need to adjust your medication.
Because the pollen is appearing earlier in the year, you may want to go ahead and start your medications a little bit earlier. The intranasal steroid sprays specifically take about 2 weeks to be optimally effective.
Be sure to check pollen levels before you get outside. Wear a mask to limit the amount of pollen that you inhale. Change your clothes when you get home. And maybe take a shower. That can minimize your exposure to allergens. And be vigilant when it comes to mold to avoid spores from contaminating your home. Experts expect these allergy trends will continue if we don't mitigate global warming and climate change.
I think of climate solutions as health solutions because anything that we do to make the environment we live in healthier is only going to make all of us healthier.
With this Climate Minute, I'm Ginger Z.
Sounds like me talking to my teenage kids. Maybe take a shower. All right, we leave you this morning with something to talk about. The newly formed Elgin High School barbecue team is headed to the state competition. Yes, the barbecue team. It's the second time Wildcat BBQ has competed in the contest. The team captured 5th overall out of 26 total teams in the regional qualifier back in November and took home top 10 finishes in 3 of the 5 categories, including second best chicken lollipops. Yes, a chicken lollipop. 5th best grilled cheese and 7th best ribs. I'll be the judge of that. Today and tomorrow, they're going to compete against the top 10 teams for the state title. Good luck to them. That is an incredible feat. Some great barbecue here in the state of Texas. Well, that's it for Daybreak Plus. Let us know what you want to talk about. Message us at 512-459-9442. Maybe you want to talk about your high school, how it's doing. Maybe it's in a different type of playoff. Maybe it's your kid's birthday, first birthday, 16th birthday, graduation. Let us know. You can also message me at Rob Evans TV on Instagram, Facebook, or X. And stick around because Daybreak continues right here on KVUE Plus. Goodbye, everybody.